Friends, this program is brought to you by the generous support of people like you. Founders Church of Religious Science, a center for spiritual living in Los Angeles, is committed to providing you with inspirational messages daily and weekly to enhance your spiritual journey into your best possible life. To become a supporter, please visit our website or click the link on this page to inform you on how to make your gift. We thank you.
Hello, friends. What an exciting thing it is for me to be able to tell you that we are going to reopen our church on June 6th, Sunday, June 6th. And you're all invited to be here at 10 o'clock. As I step down the 5 steps of treatment, which is symbolic, this is a way of saying that our prayers are being answered, that you're going to be part of something that tells you about the power greater than you are that you can use. We're all using it, but not necessarily as well as we could. And our spirituality being positive and being affirmative and telling you how to engage yourself creatively in this life is going to do that just for you. Look around at these seats and you will see that they are there to welcome you, to claim your spot here so that we can all grow together to recreate the kind of wonderful community that we need to go beyond COVID. We are de-COVIDizing ourselves, and we are going to come with that spirit of rebirth, and I'm inviting you to be part of it. So remember, it's Sunday, June 6th at 10 a.m. We are 3281 West 6th Street, LA 90020. Come, we are welcoming you. We can feel you. We love you. Be here with us. Thank you. Hello, friend. As we de-COVIDize ourselves, did you hear that word? As we de-COVIDize ourselves to get back into a regular world, and I hope you're thinking that way. We're talking about a shift in consciousness that we're going to make. You can see I've already made my shift in consciousness, being informal. Why? Because today I want to talk to you about science of mind, thoughts to live by. And where I'm coming from here is to give you a very informal way of coming to the science of mind, one that doesn't involve a lot of the theology or the technicalities of understanding this and understanding that before you know what you're doing. One that allows you as a beginner or as somebody who's experienced that want to come back into a kind of a spring training, not the technical stuff, to just get your swing, to just feel how easy it is for you to move into a spiritual discipline that is designed for your success and to make you much more fulfilled in this life. And so this is Science of Mind, Thoughts to Live By, and it's based on a number of Ernest Holmes's ideas, but not the ideas that are filled with technicalities. And then I'm going to explain them. I've kind of put them out in 6 categories for you. One will deal with God as omnipresence and relatedness. A second will deal with you are an individual in relationship. The third is thought and feeling are key to our creative experience, our creative power. The fourth is attitude to the consciousness of expectancy. And the fifth is changing negative habitual thought and fear to faith. And the final one is prayer and action, our sisters. All right, let's talk about God as omnipresence and relatedness. Dr. Holmes says, spirituality is natural goodness. God is not a person. God is a presence personified in us. Spirituality is not a thing. It is the atmosphere of God's presence, goodness, truth, and beauty. So let's talk about the presence of God. And what does that look like? More than looking like, it's what does it feel like? It's a sense of moving into that peace and that sense of support that one has, not just from people, but from the entire cosmos. You're being supported by a universe that is vast And the mind of God is vast, and the love of God is even vaster. So once you begin to think in that way and contemplate in that way, you'll begin to find that all the worries and the strives and tribulations and all these things will just kind of fall away, and you'll feel far more relaxed and at home in the world. Let's talk about goodness. Goodness is really what you participate in when you're doing kindly things for people, when you are going out of yourself and not expecting something back. Goodness is when you make other people's life better and even make your own life better. And so goodness and spirituality are really the same thing. If you're good, even if you don't think you're religious, you are really experiencing goodness and spirituality because they're really one thing. So it's a feeling thing, and it gives you a sense of flow in life when you are good. When we talk about truth, most of us look around to find a word or a sentence. This is the truth. And then we spend our time fighting with each other, telling each other that, well, this is true because, and we make it a matter of logic and debate. Let me suggest that truth is a clarity about who you are. It's a clarity about your life and where you're going. It's a clarity about how you can sit still in that undifferentiated essence of spirit and just come to know what to do, when to do it, where to do it, and how to do it. And when you begin to see yourself aligned with the flow and the way of life, then you know you have stumbled upon what is truth. Beauty. That's another thing that he mentioned, Ernest Holmes mentioned. And when we think about beauty, we must understand that that is God's way of announcing himself, that the world is filled with the grandeur of God. And what happens is that we become habituated to what we see. And after a while, we say, oh, yes, I've seen that already. And that is not the way to come to beauty. The way to come to beauty, even something you have seen for the umpteen times, you say, wow. And you begin to feel the awe and the wonder. And if you bring the attitude of awe and wonder that Buddhists call beginner's mind to it, suddenly a vast new world of beauty appears to you. And what you will do is you will reflect that beauty in your own life. You will begin to make things around you beautiful, not because nobody is seeing it. It's like some people, they want to get along in their job, but they say, well, nobody's around, so let's do what we want to do. Instead of recognizing, it's not whether somebody's around, so you do what you want to do instead of doing the job. In the same sense, when you're committed to beauty, you create the beauty around, whether anyone else is seeing it or not, because you're doing it for God, and you're doing it to express more of God. And this is true not only in the things you have around you, but in the way you relate to each other, in the way you relate in a caring way to each other. Now, you can take a number of these qualities and see how you can practice them each day. Ernest Holmes also says, a realization of the presence of God is the most powerful healing agency known to the mind of man. What he's talking about is when you are in the flow of being in the presence of God, you're in that sense of peace so that nothing is disturbing your mind. The comings and the goings of life will always change, but there is a point in you that is not disturbed by these comings and goings. There is that sense of peace, that sense of everything is fine in the world. And when that feels right to you, you are beginning to do your work in life with a sense of healing. And you're also more open to healing, because biology is saying that when you're at peace, when you're happy, the cells themselves are happy and at peace, and they help all the other cells to become whole, perfect, and complete. Let's go to my second point, which is you are an individual in relationship. Life is a relational thing. There is no individual just floating around in life as if he or she is not dependent on anything. We are all interdependent. And what happens is that some of us get so powerful and so isolated that we believe that we're above everything and we don't need anything. You just think any day you get up, anything that you use was made by somebody. You didn't make it yourself. You didn't make your car. You didn't make gasoline. The water that comes into the faucet when you wash your hands and take your bath and all that, they're all done by other people. And we are related in that way. And yet we don't take the soul seriously enough to realize that not only is the physical world telling how we're related to everything, it is the spiritual world that it's coming from. And when we don't see it in the sense of the soul, we won't see it at all in terms of how we are connected. And so we come up with racialism, we come up with prejudice, we come up with, tribalism. We come up with all these nonsense because we are spiritually stupid. That's what we are, spiritually stupid. And we think when we're spiritually stupid that we're better than everybody else. How can you be better than everybody else when everyone is a son or daughter of God? Everyone is, just as Jesus said in his prayer, our Father. He didn't say Jewish people's Father. He didn't say Gentile people's Father. He said our Father. Do you get it? Many of us say we're Christian, but we're not Christian because we practice the principles of Christianity. We're Christian because we think it's some kind of social boys club that we practice in where we can do what we want and tell everybody else they're wrong. We're telling everybody else how to live. Come on. We need to understand that we need to loosen up and realize that that's not the way it is. So in this relationship, we must understand that as vast as the universe is and as minuscule as we are on the earth itself is a mote of dust in this entire universe. That's how big it is. Can't even be seen. If we begin to realize that we're only here because the rest of the universe is here, then suddenly we feel a total difference in how to relate to things. We come with a sense of gratitude and thanksgiving because we say, oh my God, how did we manage to develop this mind and this culture that we can do all these fantastic things? And once we start seeing that, it changes everything and we begin to see how we are related with. Now, in this relationship, the whole purpose of the relationship is for us to move into an awareness of becoming. Every single moment of the universe comes into being and then perishes, comes into being and then perishes. Quantum science is telling us that. I didn't make it up. And what I'm saying to you is that each moment is a moment of becoming. And so whatever has gone in the previous moments, we don't have to live there because we are in the moment of becoming. So when you make mistakes, that's fine. Learn from them and keep on keeping on. And when you begin to see that everyone is in that kind of a mode where they are in the process of becoming, then we don't give up on each other so easily. We know that we can keep striving toward being the best version of ourselves that we can become. Why? Because we need to share that with each other. Now, we're looking at this journey of becoming, and in this journey of becoming, we must see no limits to ourselves. We must recognize that we are people in the business of relating to each other and learning from each other to know what is best to become. And then we make choices because we have the power not just to become whatever is already in the hopper for us, we are thinking about it. We're making choices. Just as we come out of COVID, we are making choices. So my friends, these are two things that we really need to understand. We must understand that we can be happy when we are in the process of becoming. And recognize that happiness is not a goal, it's a value. A goal is something that you strive toward, that is set by time and some distance, you know when you're going to achieve it. A value is not something that is to be achieved in the future. A value is something you take on. It is part of being. So if you want to be happy, take it on. Take on the spirit of happiness, and then use it to bear upon your journey forward to the goals that you are trying to achieve. When you're moving in this direction, one of the things that you have is the imagination. The imagination is your downloading from heaven, from God, to yourself, because God is centered in you. Remember, we started out with the idea of God being omnipresent. If God is omnipresent, then God is inside of you. And God can't be any less in you than God is in Jesus, or God is in Buddha, or God is in Socrates, or anyone else. What makes the difference? Oh, how open you are to receive that which you are. And so as you come into alignment with that, it changes everything. It makes life better. So that's why Einstein says imagination is greater than knowledge. Knowledge is already the area of, if you walk into a dark forest and you have a flashlight, knowledge is like that. The light is shining only on a little tiny piece of the forest. But imagination allows you to move to the entire dimension of the forest and to know more through imagination about where you ought to go and how you are going there, because you're divinely led and guided to it. So never limit your experience. Never limit your experience. Ernest Holmes says that we were born to be happy, to be abundantly supplied with every good thing, to have fun in living, to consciously unite the divine power that is around us and within us, and to grow and expand forever. Do you believe that? Is that hard for you to do? Think about yourself as expanding, and as you expand, you become better than you have ever been before. And so these are two of the things that we talk about in Science of Mind, and in a moment I will talk about some of the others. My third point is thought and feeling are key to the creative power. Here's what Ernest Holmes said. He says, all the power of the universe is with you. Feel it, know it, and then act as though it were true. Now, one of the things that you might question is, how can all the power of the universe be with me? And here's the way it is relational. If you look at Jesus' examples, you could see that he says, don't you believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The word I say to you, I do not speak on my own authority. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing the work. This is the key. Jesus did not say he can just wave his hand and move the entire universe. What Jesus exemplified is that he could move the universe of his life and help the people around him. And that's all the power you need. We don't need people who can move the entire universe. Can you imagine what kind of chaos that would be? But the idea is to know that the power that we are speaking about is not your power. It's the power of Spirit. It's the power of God. And so your meditation, your contemplation should be on that kind of power. And so when you look at this world, what we are looking at is the idea that you can achieve the goals of your life. That's really where your world is. In the circumference of those ideas that you want to put out there to express that spirit within yourself, to make a difference in this life. This is really where you need the power. You may need it for health, you may need it for companionship, you may need it in all aspects of life. And isn't that world enough for you? We can only handle so much in this life. And that's what you need a power for. So when we say all the power of the universe is within you, all the power of your world, as Genesis says it, that you should have dominion over the world. But it's not the world in terms of you're looking at the earth and telling everybody else what to do. We know we don't like people who do that, do we? So the idea is to know that you are responsible for your life. And responsible means you're responsible to go from what is limiting you to what will open the doors of opportunities and infinite possibilities for you in achieving what your life is about. Now, when we look at another quote by Ernest Holmes, he says, "We have within us a power that is greater than anything that we shall ever contact in the outer. A power that can overcome every obstacle in life and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, heal and prosperous, and to give us a new light and a new life in this life here." So what is it that you want from that? We're looking at this power that is greater than we are. That's the first thing you need to know. The power is greater than the problem that you have. It comes back to that wonderful quote by Emerson when he says, "What is within you, what is before you, and what is behind you are tiny matters compared to what is within you." Why do all these great people say these things? They don't say it because they're egotistical and they're trying to say, "This is who I am." They say it because they've discovered who we are, relational, the we, the big we. We're more of a we than we are I, or a me. And once we begin to stretch ourselves into that consciousness of we, it's so much easier to love people. It's so much easier to forgive people. It's so much easier to find solutions to what seems like insoluble problems. And that's the consciousness that we wish to have. And that's a consciousness that is a God consciousness. God is not about you and versus that person. God is about all of us equally and well. So as we're talking about science of mind as thoughts to live by, again, just to remind you that what we're trying to do is to give you some of these wonderful thoughts that you can apply without becoming very technically adept at using science of mind. Everyone can apply this. So the next point I want to talk about is good attitude is the consciousness of expectancy. Expectancy. Have you ever had that sense of expectancy? Of course you have. And when it is there, isn't it exciting? And it is become magnetic to what it is that you're attracting. Here's what Ernest Holmes says of it. He says, expectancy speeds progress. Therefore, live in a continual state of expectancy. No matter how much good you are experiencing today, expect greater good tomorrow. Expect to meet new friends. Expect to meet new and wonderful experiences. Try this magic of expectancy, and you will soon discover a dramatic side of your work, which gives full vent to constructive feelings. So, expectancy is the way you magnetize the good much more forcefully than if you are just blasé about life. Well, I don't know if anything good will come to me. You can bet not very much good is going to come to you because your attitude determines your altitude. If you are down there, that's all you're going to see, what's down there. You got to rise up in consciousness and have that sense of expectancy. And so when you are looking at tomorrow, you're looking at tomorrow with a sense that, gee, whatever I'm doing today, which is great, is even going to be greater tomorrow. And you get up with that bounce in your step and that feeling that, wow, I can't wait to face this day. How many of you have done that for a long time? So, well, I've been shut in now for a year and COVID this. Oh, come on, forget that COVID stuff. We're de-COVIDizing ourselves and we're coming back with a force that you just can't believe. You can bring that to bear upon yourself and upon your future. So, what we need to understand is that Jesus gave us a little hint when he says that whoever believes in me and the work that I have been doing, and they will do it, and greater things than these will they do, because I'm going to the Father. Here's what the hint is. The hint is that Jesus is going to the Father. The idea is, as Jesus sees himself going to the Father, you must see yourself going to the source, which is God. Jesus calls it Father. Why? Because life is relational. And if you think about relation, I know some people may not have a good relationship with their fathers, but if you have a loving father, and that was your relationship, and you know you're going to go to the Father for something, you know you're going to get it. And this is the relationship that Jesus had, the good son and the good father. It's not the bad son and the good father, it's a good son and a good father. And you are the good son or daughter, in your case, going to the Father. It's the relationship that you have with the source, that you believe that it's working for you, and when you do, that sense of expectancy changes everything. Let's get to the fifth point on this. We're talking about changing habitual thoughts and changing fear to faith. Here's what Dr. Holmes says. He says, in order to get the most of life, we must learn consciously to change many of our habitual thought patterns. This is not easy, for our old thought patterns cling to us with great tenacity. But being thought pattern, they can be reversed. Well, we must understand what our thought patterns are. And we must know the ones that really get in the way of relationship, get in the way of our success. I know a woman who took care of a man. He wanted to marry her. They're older people. But she had lost a husband already because, she married to this other man, and she didn't want to do that. But she's taking care of this man. This man is really dying. And he said, I want to leave my house to you. And because of some kind of a strange pride that she has, she's saying to him, I don't want people to think that I was just helping you because I wanted something from you. And what happened is her opportunity came to get something for herself. And the man died, and he left his house for another person who was taking care of him, and not as well as she was taking care of him. What I'm saying to you here is that she had a habitual thought to think that she must look in a certain way to people. It's not recognizing that things have changed for her. And this is a chance for her to be given something that is open and free, and this person really wanted to do it because she was so good to him. She looked at it from the point of view of her pride, her habitual thinking that, no, I can't do it because people will think of this. So it is the case of people ask for opportunity, but when it knocks, they complain about the noise. So you have to come to a place where you realize that this is not the way life works. When the life presents you with opportunity, say, thank you, God, I'm here. I'm going to accept this. So this expectancy is making this work for you. Let me get to the point that talks about fear, changing from fear to faith. The idea is to realize that fear can be replaced by faith. If you wrote down all the things you fear, and you wrote down all the things you should do to be opposite to fear on another side of that ledger, and then you begin to say, this is what I ought to do, and this is what I'm doing. And if you were to take a month to monitor yourself and see just how you're going through this, and how you can replace your fear with faith. So if you're saying, I fear walking out on the street, and you begin to say, God is my guide and protector. I can walk bravely and courageously out on the street, or whatever the fear is. And then you go out on the street, and you come back in and realize nothing happened to you. Then all of a sudden you begin to transition from fear to faith. And you can do that even with lack and limitation, even with lack of health. You can begin to say, instead of saying, every day I have such little energy, say, today I have enough energy to begin, to get bolder, to get more energetic, to be more of who I am. And what is going to happen? You step out and you start getting a little more exercise, your muscles get stronger, and before you know it, you're breathing the air, the sunshine is giving you vitamin D, and you're feeling good about yourself. And that's what we do, but we got to write it down and know what the things are that we are trying to get rid of. Now, let you realize that Ernest Holmes says that life is not just something to endure, to be endured. He says it is to be lived in joy, in a fullness, without limit. Can you do that? Are you just merely enduring life? Oh, well, this is the best I can do. Come on, breathe deeply and say, this may be the best I have done so far, but I am going to do better now. And you begin to feel that and believe it. And why do you believe it? Because you're going to the Father. Because you are going to the presence and the power that is within you. So we can't live a choiceless life because every day, every moment, things change. And therefore, our thoughts must be ready to deal with these changes. And you are capable and more capable of this than you will ever know. Now, my final point is prayer and action are sisters. I want you to begin to see that you live in a universe where you can pray to God for certain things. And you must understand that that obligates you to do your part. It's a partnership. We're living in a participating universe. Remember, I started out by saying an interrelated universe, a relational universe. It's not just God being a heavenly butler and doing things for you. It's you, God doing things through you, for you, as you. Here's what Ernest Holmes says to that. He says, seek to make your work a prayer. Your believing an act. Your living an art. It is then that the object of your faith will be made visible to you. He says, it is then that you shall kiss the lips of your desire. Does this thing I wish to do express more life, more happiness, more peace to myself, and at the same time, harm no one? He says, if it does, it is right, it is not selfish. So what we're saying here, that as we look at science of mind, thoughts to live by, it is a freeing moment. You don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of the technicalities and the theological thoughts and systems behind it. What you have to do is to come to life in a more positive way each day and realize that there is something back of your thought, and mostly there's something back of your action. And if you can have greater thought and back it up with your greater action, you will find a world that you can live by, and you will enjoy your happiness for a long, long time. God bless you all. Friends, how wonderful it is for us to have this time to share with each other. And this is the time when you can help us support this ministry. We're trying to reach as many people as possible to change the consciousness, to de-COVIDize this community so that we can rush back into a sense of normality, but a normality that is better than the previous one. How is that? So this is what we're doing, and this is what you're helping by helping us to communicate spiritual to people as to how they can do it. So take a look at the screen and see the many ways in which you can contribute. And here's a time for me to tell you thank you so much for your support. And for those who have not supported yet and you feel like you want to do it, just go ahead and do it. We love you, we appreciate it, and thank you too. God bless. Friends, let's turn within right now and come to that sense of what it means to have science of mind, thoughts to live by. Because here we recognize that science means the way something works. That's all it means. And mind means God. So we're looking at the way God mind works in the world, and it works through laws. And we connect with these laws through thought, through a belief, as Jesus taught. And so we come to the place where we say, I have come to the Father. And the Father in me, He does the works. And it's true of you and me that this power that is greater than we are is connected to us when we feel the union, the unison, the unity with this one mind, which is God. This mind is perfect, this mind is whole, this mind is complete, and this mind now expresses itself fully through me, bringing into being my best health, my best relationship, my best expression of myself, and my best achievement in my life. And so I know that all these things are working to good for those who love God. And we start there, and we give our appreciation that this power is working through us here and now. So I say, thank you, Father, Mother God. And together let us affirm, and so it is. Thank you for sharing this time. Peace.